It seems like every day there's something interesting going on in the fighting game community. And one thing I've noticed especially is that lately there's been an uptick of people, specifically older players, complaining about the newer games, the newer fighting games, and saying that new era players would not be as good as they are now in previous fighting games. So as you can see right here, I got this tweet that kind of went a little bit viral overnight. This guy's name is Kyoshiro. He says, I feel like Street Fighter 6 is the only game where kids can pull up and beat OGs. There is no way you would see that in older games, especially Third Strike. So number one, I'm gonna go ahead and say, right, this guy's wrong. 100% he's wrong, and the reason why I'm so confident in saying that is because number one, you got to think about this logically, all right? He's singling out kids, right? That's his focus, kids. Now, think about it logically, right? Kids have the ability to adapt and take in new information very well. They're like a sponge. They soak up all the information so fast. I mean, look at it, right? Why is it easier for a child, for a kid, to learn a new language, right? They can pick up a new language easier, a new hobby, a new sport, an instrument, right? It's just a matter of fact, dude. Kids have the ability to adapt and soak up new information and do new activities, try new activities, and excel at them more than adults do. And that's just life. It has been proven. Another thing, when you talk about a kid, they have no responsibilities. You know, adults, jobs, bills, whatever the heck. We all know what goes into the adult life. Kids, on the other hand, their focus is waking up, go to school, homework, and then they're free to do whatever the heck, you know. That really is their day. That's their day. So when you look at it like that, a kid has a lot more free time to play a game and get better. So that's where I'm confused why this guy's saying what he's saying. And a lot of people share that mentality. It's like you guys forget how life works and the reality of how a kid can pick things up faster than an adult. Now, this guy's getting cooked. He's getting cooked in the replies, especially the quote retweets. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of them, all right? You got a video of some kid at a tournament. It's 3 minutes long. We're not going to watch that. This one right here, look at this, all right? Look at this. I don't know if you could see it. Let me. It's two. Anyway, look. So this is a screenshot from a gaming forum. Street Fighter 4, and the title of the thread is Street Fighter 4 is for noobs, kids, and casuals. And this was posted 16 years ago, dude. Imagine that. And like I said before, the cycle just always keeps repeating. This guy right here, 16 years ago, was already saying that Street Fighter 4 is for noobs, kids, and casuals. It's the exact same thing that people nowadays are saying about newer fighting games. Oh, you know, Street Fighter 6, like literally, this thread title, this could be replaced for Street Fighter 6 now. It could have been done for 5, for 6, could have been done for Tekken 7, 8, whatever the heck. The cycle's just gonna keep going. And then this guy's posting a highlight of 15-year-old kid winning Vampire Slayer Savior National Championship, right? So people are acting like this is something new that just appeared. There have always been kid prodigies in video games and in real life activities, musicians, sports. That's just a matter that it's reality. There have always been kid prodigies that grow up and do very well at a skill or profession that they choose, right? You know, this guy's referencing chess, right? And then, this thing is funny, dude. I'm glad I found this. So, had bookmarked it. So look at this. Justin Wong won Evo when he was 15. We're talking about Justin Wong here. Like, if you play fighting games, you know who Justin Wong is. He won Evo when he was 15, and I have no doubt that when he won that tournament, there were probably already people older than him looking at Justin Wong and being jealous, being angry, and perhaps even thinking that, oh, he only won Evo in this game because this game is easier than the previous game. It's crazy. And this guy right here makes a really good point, and I was about to talk about it at some point. Like I had it in the back of my head, but I'm glad it's now at the front of my mind, right? Check this out. Everyone agrees the competitive scene was easier back then. I agree 100% on that. And I think the first reaction is for you to say that it's wrong, that no, things were not easier back then, but they were in fact easier. And let's read through it. Like this guy, I can tell he's of the mindset that things were harder back then. Like I could just tell. These guys make good points. Let's see. Okay, no, this guy does not. I read that wrong. But what I can say is that he says, okay, so his thing is that there were no resources back then. So he says that's what made it harder. I counter that by saying that's what made it easier. And as I'm going through these replies, these guys are of the same mindset. So look, players back then were weaker than they are today because they didn't have the training tools we do now. That's right. That's 100% right. There being no resources is what made it easier. The games weren't optimized, and the average skill floor and ceiling of each player is nothing compared to the modern player. Again, that's another truth. People not having resources to get good is what let the players doing good thrive, and the competition couldn't catch up. That, again, these three guys are basically saying what I was going to say. So, like I said, it's easy to think that fighting games were harder back then, but when you think about it, fighting games back then were more niche than they are now. And the internet, YouTube, everything like that they didn't exist back then, right? They really didn't. So, if you were a professional fighting game player back then, if you were good and you had a group of maybe like 4 or 5 guys that you trained with, and you kept all your secret tech in that circle, nobody else is going to find that out. And that's just the reality. So you could be good at a fighting game, and if you made the right connections, train with the same 4 people or whatever the heck, it's going to be a same rotation of those same guys being at the top. And the reason why is because they didn't share their knowledge. They didn't, and that knowledge wasn't accessible through the internet, YouTube, whatever the heck. So everybody coming in from the outside was not able to really get all the tools and resources to get good. And that's why the competition was never able to catch up to these established players. But now in present day with YouTube, Twitter, freaking any other internet thing you could think of, everybody is on the same level. It's not easy to hide tech now compared to what it was before, right? So, this notion that fighting games were harder back then, I counter that by saying they were easier because things were not as accessible as they are now. So you were safer, you were in a protected bubble. Older players were in a protected bubble because once they found out secret tech to get good, they would never tell that to outsiders who were not in their circle. You know what I'm saying? But now it's everywhere, right? I had another tab open right here. So this guy says, so it's more of the same thing. Like always some older people getting mad that kids are doing better. Let's see. I did like it. Quote retweets. Yeah, old guys can't accept that they were never good at a younger age and still suck now. That's true. There's probably some complex issues going on. I like this one. This and old people not accepting young people being good at old games. Aha. This came across my timeline too, and I wanted to point it out, so I'm glad I found it again. So this is speed kicks, right? If you play Tekken, speed kicks, former pro, good player. Look what he says. I was 16 years old, dropped a game-winning combo on knee, and old guys said I was carried by movement in Tekken Tag Tournament 2, now remembered as the most demanding Tekken game. Doesn't matter the era, gamer playstyle, old dudes on the sidelines are gonna hate. And that's really all it comes down to, dude. Friggin' senior citizens of the fighting game community, they're still living in the Stone Age, and they refuse to let the game progress. They're living in the past, and they just gotta let that go. And it's interesting that Speed Kicks, of all people, is pointing this out. So Speed Kicks started off playing really young. And look what he said. Let's look at that again, right? Speed Kicks. Let's look at the scenario. 16-year-old Speed Kicks dropped a game-winning combo on Knee, and here come older senior citizens telling him that he was carried by movement in Tekken Tag Tournament 2. Now, the interesting thing here is that in present day, 2025, Tag 2 is in fact remembered as probably the most complete Tekken game and the hardest, most demanding Tekken game in the series. Tag 2 is looked back very fondly now. Like, people look at that game as like a gem, fondly remembering it, right? Yet when that was the active game, those same people were telling people like Speed Kicks that he was only carried by movement. And it's funny how that works, because when we look at present day Tekken, everybody's all like, man, Tekken nowadays has no movement. It's got to go back to what it was in Tag 2 or whatever the heck. But personal memory account by Speed Kicks, like I said, people try to rewrite history. They try to rewrite history, and I don't know, man. I don't know. It's fighting games are interesting. Like, yeah, there's it's never gonna end. The cycle's always gonna keep repeating itself. Next Street Fighter game comes out, next Tekken game comes out, next whatever the heck game comes out, and there's gonna be something that's gonna make players cry and complain, and then they're gonna look back at the previous game and be like, man, you know what? It wasn't that bad. We should go back to that game. You know, it's just, that's just the way it is. That's just the way that things are gonna go. But yeah. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you think, where you stand. I don't know. It's an interesting topic because it all started because some guy kind of singled out the fact that kids are doing better nowadays, kind of implying that they wouldn't, not even implying, saying that they wouldn't do as well as they did back then, when in reality, you have countless examples of kid prodigies winning tournaments back then at their young age, you know. So that's all I got. Let me know what you think. Other than that, hope you guys have a good day. Stay safe out there. Take care. And I'll see you in the next one.